Hello there, this is Terrorblade for PokerStrategy.com. I'm a fixed limit player. I'm going to be playing some 25-50 cent full ring of fixed limit. So this is around the level that you should be playing or have played already if you're a beginner. It's pretty damn fishy. You see a lot of six-way pots in this limit. Okay, here I'm gonna play according to the starting hands chart from the basic section and the bronze fixed limit chart for the more marginal situations. So I'm not going to play strictly according to the basic section. Here with two or more callers, it's a call with King Jack offsuit. And as you know, after if you've already called and you've only had one raise after you, you have to call that. But if there was a re-raise after him, so if it was up to 75 cents, I would have folded. Okay, we're flop top pair middle kicker. So basically, if bet into, we're gonna raise once. Chinny's raised. Okay, he probably has a similar range here. I think he would raise King Queen though. He's quite a decent player. Possibly some sort of two pair combination. Maybe he limped in a set. I'm going to call and see what carries on. If there's a bit more play between these two and he's raising again, I'd probably be more inclined to thinking he has three of a kind. So basically, you've got to be thinking here, a lot of these players, the good thing about, and also the bad thing about playing at these micro limits, is that it's really hard to put them on a set of cards because they could have practically anything. If you have six people in a pot, that means you already know that someone is playing too loosely. So the reason we have the basic section saying play only top pair and better is because you're playing for value. Only when you have the good hands you want to be. Only when you have decent hands you want to be bluffing less, and you want to be just playing your good hands more aggressively and just betting when you know that you have a decent chance of winning. Yeah, he did have King Queen suited. I thought he would have raised that. Oh well. But you want to be calling down with top pair. Some people do crazy things, crazy fishy things. Okay, so basically, if you haven't seen this chart already, I believe it's in the bronze section, and there are things for sort of if you're on the small blind, you can call things you wouldn't normally call. So if there were three callers, you can limp in 3-2 offsuit, or higher in the small blind. So you should really play according to these because they're adjusted for these more marginal situations. If you look at the first starting hands chart, you see that you don't play many hands at all. So I advise you start using this because you'll be using this sort of thing more often when you challenge for shorthand. Okay, we have two callers according to the starting hands chart. Ace 10, we're in middle position. It's a raise. So what do we got? Okay, we've got nothing. We've got one overcard. But against two players, if we raise pre-flop, we're going to counterbet the flop and see what happens from there. Now, from here, depending on the player, at this limit, you can probably give up. He might have hit the flop. He could have nothing also, but at these limits, you want to play it safe and just play for value when you hit the ace or the 10 and there's no other overcards on the flop. Yeah, what was I saying? Okay, a couple of adjustments you can sort of make to your starting hands chart. If you're playing at a loose table, which is typical of this limit, so if there's sort of 5 or 6 players every hand and it's only raised once every few hands, I'd recommend you limp in with pocket pairs in like the first two positions if it's a full 10 players, or if there's only 9 players, just the first position. Because if you're going to get 5 or 6 people calling, you've almost got odds right there, assuming no bets come in on the flop or turn, to call for the set value, because there's a chance of 1 in 7.5. 1 out of 7.5 to hit your set on the flop, which gives you the winning hand most of the time. So those are the kind of things I changed when I was a beginner. I'm not sure if it's officially in any of these charts, but people have talked about it. Maybe it's in a German chart. Okay, aces, don't want to play it tricky here because we're going to get a whole lot of limpers anyway. So already the aces are at risk from being busted if we have a lot of players in the hand. So we just want to make them pay the maximum. That's the reason for raising our hands, because while we still have the edge pre-flop, we want to make them pay for the deficit, and thus we win money in the long run. Okay, we've got a set of aces. Got to keep bidding, else it just looks suspicious. Unfortunately, he didn't hit a lower set or something like that. Yep. So if he had raised before, according to the basic section, we'd just keep raising ourselves as well. So just bet as raise as often as you can when you've got a hand like that, which is the nuts in that case. Okay, what have we got? There's a section in this chart for against callers and raises. There's 4 callers, I think, after the raise. So 3+ callers, we can call 10-9 offsuit and above. So we're going to call here. And we've flopped an open-ended straight draw. So strictly we should be betting out here, according to the flop section of the strategy. And this is a 7-way pot. So we're going to get some really good value if we get a lot of callers and we hit a queen or a 7. Which is the beauty of this limit as well. You can get a hell of a lot out of your draws. Okay, we've got our draw, but the flush is possible and there are 4 other players. So if we're raised, we'll just call down, basically. Oh, we weren't raised, so I'm inclined to think we're probably ahead here. If raised on this river, I'd call as well, because, I mean, any king would raise you as well. Which we're ahead, of course. So let's see what happens. Alright, great. So that's how you want to be playing. So if someone had raised me on the flop, I would have just turned into passive mode, just called down, as long as I had the odds to do so, which is, I think the pot needs to be at least 4.5 times as big as the current bet, or something like that, or 4 times. And also, if there were still a few people on the turn, you should stop betting as well. If you have a draw, but if you have a made hand, you should keep betting, because you want to obviously get the value out of it. But I believe if there are 4 players in the hand and they keep calling, you can still bet for value because of the chances of hitting your flush. I think something like that. Don't take my word for it. Okay, let's look at the chat here. He's just slugging off a few of the fish. So at this table we're doing quite well. Up quite a few bets. You shouldn't really have any trouble with this limit. I got really lucky on this limit. I think I won. I was winning like 5 big bets per 100 or something, which is pretty ludicrous. But the players are just so horrible. They make all these really EV negative decisions, playing horrible hands and such. So yeah. If you're having trouble, I've seen a lot of the new players, they're posting their hands on the forum. You should too. That's the best way to figure out if you're doing the right thing or not. So just go down to the fixed limit double hands forum, post it, and then me or some of the hand judges will give you a comment, try and help you out. Yep, so once you're comfortable with fixed limit, if you're playing on party poker, shorthanded is available from 50 cent $1 upwards, but I recommend you play at least sort of 20,000 hands or so at the 50 cent $1 limit in Fullring before you move on to the short-handed, and make sure you have a good bankroll for it as well, because it's very swingy. There's a lot of variance. So even if you're playing your best, you can lose hundreds of big bets, which is what I've done, and you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to go down several limits to compensate if you had a particularly bad session. So you should play with at least sort of 500 big bets, I would say. Yep. Haven't had any good hands for a while. Let's look at this chart. So if you haven't already started using this, you better start using it soon, because everything basically goes out the window when you start playing shorthanded, and a lot of these, you have to play a lot of these situations where you're just losing little bits of value at a time, and it adds up to quite a lot over a long period. Full 10-handed here, we've got ace-jack suited. Go to the chart, ace-jack suited is what you need, so that or better, and you raise from the under the gun. One limper, according to the starting hands chart, jacks is a raise from this position, middle position. And we're raised once, which is a call. You have to call if you're raised once, but if you're raised twice, then according to the strategy you must fold. It changes a little bit later on, but at the moment you should just play like that. Unless you see him raising sort of every other hand, and then you can play this hand more often. I bet, and he called. So you bet again, even though you don't hold top pair. Just the chance that he'll fold is enough to be able to bet. Okay, so we call the single raise, according to the strategy. And we check. We hold a gut shot and one overcard, which is not strong enough to bet. Okay, we're confronted with a 50-cent bet. The pot's $3.95, and assuming he bets the turn and doesn't fold to a raise, we can make a profitable call here if we hit our gut shot. As the pot's now 465, if we had hit our gut shot, he'd bet again. The pot would have been at least 10 times as big as the bet, so we would have had correct odds to. That's the implied odds, the odds in the future that you'll get from their bets. But we definitely fold here. It's only 1 to 6 now. So yeah, if you haven't already read the odds and nuts article, it's invaluable really, because you play rolls quite often. Ooh, okay. Jack 4, and if you haven't started already, you should start thinking about blind defense. So it's sort of in an isolated situation. So if, say, this guy here raised me and everyone else had folded, so raise from the button. I'll just fold this, fold that. So yeah, a raise from the button. You go down to the suited jack, and you need jack 6 or higher to call from the big blind from a raise from the button. And yeah, you basically just continue if you've hit something. So you like hit a pair or whatever. Okay. Trash hand. Trash hand. Okay. Okay, so I was talking before about the bankroll management. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys have seen, but up here is the 21, this is the blackjack button, and basically you don't want to be clicking that ever. I've done this before, and I didn't have much success. Basically, don't play the casino games, please. It's not good for your bankroll. It's good for party poker's bankroll, but We don't want them to be winning. So yeah, if you get tempted, don't go and donk away all your money at the casino, and just play profitable poker according to our strategy. Okay. Okay, ace 10 offsuit. Go to the open raise chart. You need at least ace queen off to raise from this position, so you fold. I might open another table actually, because we aren't getting much action at the moment. The top one has the highest average pot, so that's always good. Okay. Oh, there's a seat. Okay. Jack 2. A raise and a caller. We can look at our chart here. Okay, 2 callers. We need... okay, it doesn't show any suited jacks here. Oh, yes it does. Okay, we need at least 9-8, yes. 9-8 suited. It's an offsuit connector. I took too long to respond, but it doesn't matter. So we can't call there with Jack 8. With Jack 10 we would be able to make the call. Okay. Take the seat. Already done that. Okay. It's important that even if you did have a dry spell for a long time, that you play exactly according to the strategy and don't adjust it. Especially if you're playing short stack or even this fixed limit. Because I mean, you're just losing money if you're playing hands like ace 3 suited here or whatever. Just play according to the strategy, and you'll probably win. Another way to improve your game would be find sort of a partner on the forum who's about your level, and you can both sort of, if you both wanted to play on party poker, play different tables, and then open up your friends' tables. And so, like, if these two were the ones I was playing, and I was observing the two that he was playing, and in between your ones, you sort of just look at what he's doing, and he tells you what he has, and you both talk about, well, what would be the best move here. So you just grind it out, just exchanging ideas, just talking about the strategy, sort of how you've played differently, and you can really learn quite a lot. Also, maybe if you made your own videos, I think you can download Camtasia, an earlier version, for free, and you can make your own video, post it on the forum, and then some of the other players will watch it, and even the hand judges sometimes watch the videos, and they'll be able to comment it quite in detail and give you good feedback. Maybe identify certain repetitions, sort of leaks in your play that you can fix. Ace 10. Raise and a call. Let's look here. Ace 10 offsuit. 2 callers. Ace 10 offsuit. We can call here. Or is that raise? I think it's call. Oh, apparently we can raise, but he raised from such an early position I wouldn't be inclined to do so. Okay, we've got 2 pair on a very drawy board, so hopefully we'll raise to get the original aggressor to re-raise like that. We're going to raise again. It's difficult to tell at this point what he might have. He just called, but he might be intending to raise the turn. If raised, I'd call down after the flop. I don't really believe that he's a flush there. It's quite very slim chance. The only hand that would make sense would be King Queen suited, maybe. Even then, he'd be pretty loose to do so. He's raised again. Let's check our chart. Calling, raising. Well, apparently it doesn't matter what position you're in. Okay, well there's 2 raises, so we only advance with sort of AK, or I think it's here somewhere. No, it's not. You only want to be capping with AK, jacks. I mean, sort of queens and above, not jacks. But you can play other pocket pairs for set value. So, for example, just then, if he raised, he called, and then this guy re-raises, and you call, you can, most of the time he's not going to cap. Even in a worst case scenario, let's say he did cap, so it was $1, and, oh actually, it was 90 cents, because I was in the small blind, I believe. So $1, and that means we have to win $7.50 to make it profit. Oh, 9 times 7. That's $66.30 to make it profitable. And if the flop it was already at $4, it's $6.30 isn't really hard to achieve. If you're just raising as often as possible, if you hit your set. So you could play jacks down to 2s if you wanted to, but I'm not sure if that. You only if you're playing the lower pocket pairs, like 2s up to 6s. The other ones you can only really carry on playing if you hit your set. So you just have to know when to fold that. Sort of fold straight away if you don't hit your set. But if you have overpair, of course you're going to keep playing. Yep. So if you're making a transition to shorthand, one thing you'll notice is it plays a lot faster. See here, I'm got 4 tables open, but there's a lot of waiting time. If you had 4 tables open, you're pretty much on your toes the whole time. And you're making harder decisions as well, so it's doubly more difficult. So I recommend you really get into the practice of posting hands when you have trouble. Okay, one caller. I'm not sure what you meant to do here. I know it's a raise for ace 10. I think I'll just raise. I don't know if, yeah. I haven't actually got my starting hands chart on me, but I still remember vaguely what it said. We've got top pair. It's a pretty draw heavy board. So we're going to have to protect our hand. And now we've got a flush and a gut shot draw. Like, what am I talking about? No, we don't. We have a flush. Or we won it anyway. Let's fold. I don't think we can play this in anywhere other than the small blind. I also recommend as soon as you get your license for Elephant, start playing with it. Make your own little configuration or whatever. I'm not sure if you can do that yet with Elephant, but just get used to the stats and sort of alter your place. If some guy is raising 80% of his hands, you can be re-raising him with less hands. I don't think I was meant to raise him there. Must have been force of habit or something. So the correct play with there would have been for me to fold, but now I'll just play it according to odds and outs. So we've got overcards. Everyone checked around. Did he fold? His cards just disappeared. Weird. We'll just fold. That was weird. You don't really see players open folding, but this guy's pretty bad. He's a no-limit player, so he sucks. Nah. Okay. Oh yes, here's the... Against the 3-bet, you only carry on with AA, KK, QQ, and the AK hands. which you have an edge against everyone pretty much, no matter how tight they are, really. Okay. 2 limpers, late position, or the blinds. It's a raise, according to the starting hands chart. I've got top pair, middle kicker. So we'll bet or raise once. So if I hadn't been first to act, if I was on the button, someone else had bet, he'd call, I would raise. And then if raised again, I'd just call down, turn to passive mode. So he did raise me. Gonna check and call. And then check and call. Oh, I see. Okay. He hit one of his 3 outs. And then hit it again. But we're already dead by that point. Okay. This is a really good example of how loose these limits can be. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 players in the hand. Oh my goodness. This is going to be a big pot. So yeah, definitely at these limits, limping in Fullring, you get great value out of these tables. For example, if you had 6s or something, you can just see it growing. Oh my goodness. And people are very bad. You can tell they just flat out call the raises. 3 people have just called 4, 5 people have called the raise. Or 4 people. Oh my goodness. Don't want to advance with that hand. You should also rebuy when you have less than, I think, 12 big blinds. Big bets, sorry. So big bets to be $6. So we have to rebuy. Rebuy for another 5. It's a fold. Okay. Seeing as got nothing to talk about right now, I'll talk about how pro Chinny 888 is. He's a sit and go player, and then he played NL Cash. First of all, we've got a raise and 2 callers behind him. JJ, we can re-raise. Yes, Chinny 888. He's a sit and go player. He's doing pretty well. Then he had a bit of a downswing. Then he switched to no limit cash games. Then he was up to quite a lot of money in his bankroll. Then he lost like half of it or something, and then he withdrew the rest. And now he's down to like, I don't know, something really bad. And he's not very good at fixing it either. I don't know why he's wasting his money here. I'm gonna fold there. Okay, it was capped. Now, for a set, I need 1 of 20 from the pot, and I do get that. But there's 2 players behind me. I can almost call here for my jacks, but I don't know that no one's going to raise behind me, which would completely destroy the odds. So you can't really make close decisions like that if there's 2 people behind you already at act. Okay, late position, king, queen. 2 limpers, it's a raise. I think any amount of limpers, this is a raise actually from late position. Okay. Okay, 3 players. If it had checked around to us, I wouldn't have been able to bet because we're against 3, and against 2 is sort of the threshold for continuation betting with no made hand or draw. But here we have the pot's at least 10 times big as the current bet, so we can call for our overcard outs, the kings or the queens. And I'll be giving up on the hand now. So if bet into, just give up. mean, they could have easily hit this board. They're probably not bluffing. Not that you should be thinking about that anyway yet. Unless someone is sort of repeatedly trying to seemingly raise you out of the hand again and again, more when it's very, very unlikely that they keep getting great hands. That's when you should sort of start adapting a little bit to them. So chinny 8/8's in the hand. He's probably going to make a real bad decision here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. 3 limpers and then a raise. Apparently you need ace queen to continue or something. So I think I'll fold. That's obviously a fold. Free play. We got bottom pair. But that's not a hand we like to play, so we're just going to check fold. The genius that he is, checks on this drawy flop and then raises. He's probably on some kind of crazy bluff, I'd say. Or maybe J7 crazy 2 pair. I thought he would have raised 7s. It's a good thing to watch your opponents when you're in the waiting. Then you can get a better idea of how they play. Okay, he had an ace. I wouldn't have checked there. That was a bad play by him. You can't really be checking in a 3-way pot. There are a few draws out there. They could have had a gut shot, spade draws. Maybe they had 8-9. They could have had a combo draw as well. I mean, so you got to be betting your top pair, even if you've got no kicker to speak of. You just want to really protect your hand. So don't follow this guy's example. So yeah, as I was saying, in your downtime, it's good to watch how the other players play. The regulars, of course, the ones who are playing with a lot, because you can adapt your play to sort of get the best value out of them personally. Deuces, I'm not sure how loose this table is. I can't remember. He raises. I'll just fold. If sort of he'd called, I might have been able to find a call. Because then if there's no raise, I'd have to win probably just $2 something, about $2 something to get my money back in terms of the odds to get a set. Okay, Chinny's playing another hand here. He's actually at all my tables, I think, except this one. This is fold. Pretty obviously. Don't play with trash hands, even if you haven't got great ones for a while. Ace Queen second in. We haven't got time. I think I know it's a raise. Yeah, it's a raise. You can raise Ace Queen open from any position. Let me call the single raise. Now we got nothing. The pot's at least 10 times as big. So we can call for overcards though. Okay. That was probably not the best call because I think he might have been the aggressor. I wasn't quite sure. So it's quite likely that he would raise. So you don't want to be making marginal calls, and that's sick. I have odds to draw for my gut shot. But a 4 of clubs or a 4 of spades can complete a draw as well. And this guy might already be holding a good hand. I don't really want to continue. Ace Queen, it's a raise. Yeah, my ace outs were dominated. So if an ace had come up, I would have raised and then got probably re-raised and just ended up losing value. And the other guy was holding what, a flush draw. So the 4 of spades would have given me a straight, but I would have been dominated again. So in terms of real outs, I only had some queens there, so it was definitely not a call. Okay. I raised, but I've only got overcards. 3 players is too many. So I just check. Pot's too small. Interesting situation here. Well, 3 callers. We can call with King 10 suited. So we're going to call. Raising a call. Q9 suited. So we need at least Queen Jack to carry on. So I'm not going to do that. And we did get our pair, so we're going to bet. If it was a heads up situation, with myself and the aggressor, I'd check raise the flop if I was out of position. Okay. To get at least his value, because he might just flat out fold the flop if he doesn't like it. So you get at least one small bet in that situation if we were heads up and I'd check raised him. Okay, we've got top 2 pair. I'm gonna raise. If he caps the turn, he could have a flush, possibly a ace king of hearts or king queen or something of hearts. But I'm just gonna call down. It was a little bit overplayed. He capped the turn with his open-ended straight draw. Interesting. So basically what you want to do, caps turn with OESD. And so you can't really respect his raises as much. So you'll probably be head more often with your top pairs against this guy. Okay, I called a raised pot. Because you can call any pair if there's a raiser and a caller. So we've hit a full house. It's not very vulnerable, this hand. But we're gonna play it. The problem with this kind of full house is if a queen fell again, we'd be beaten by any pocket pair higher than 6. And also say a 10 came out or something, and then maybe like another 10. It could hit a lot of people here. They might be holding Q something, Q10. We're still vulnerable. I mean, if it was Queen 6, we're far less vulnerable. Because we're holding one of the queens. But we just want to be raising as often as possible here. Because people holding a queen will be raising a lot. Like, these guys might have it. They might have just a flush draw. So basically we're just going to see what happens on the turn. The only hand that beats us here is Queen 6 or Queen 3. So I'm going to keep raising. It's very unlikely that we're beaten. But, interesting. I don't know what they have. Probably just overplayed queens or maybe a flush. If they have Queen 6, this is just bad luck. Still ahead against everything except Queen X. If it pairs that. Very interesting. 10s here. Well, we're cut off MP. 1 or something. Yep, you can raise 7s and above, so we're gonna raise here. Interesting, they rose again. I still think we're ahead. I just can't imagine him holding Queen 6. And we were ahead the whole time. He was holding a queen, he was holding a high flush. So you've got to make good judgments. Sometimes there are quite a few hands that you're ahead of. Okay, we've got 4 of a kind. Okay, I probably should have raised. I don't know why I called. He seems to think he's doing pretty well. I'm just going to raise as much as I can now. Hopefully he was betting a draw or something and he just hit his 6. Or maybe he has a 7. Okay, I have the nuts. I'm just going to keep raising. There we go. The kind of hands that aren't vulnerable to slow play would be the 4 of a kind on the flop. So if you're in sort of like an 8-way pot and you're second to act and the first guy bets, that's a time when you can be forgiven for slow playing, I'd say. Because I mean, as more and more people see more people calling, they're more inclined to call, and then maybe on the turn you raise or something, and then the pot's so big already that they might keep calling. But you don't want to do it with anything sort of less than 4 of a kind, or like if you flopped a full house, don't slow play with sets pretty much at all, unless it's an extremely dry flop. So like ace 10, what the? I didn't even see the countdown. Whatever, I wasn't holding a very good hand. I would have folded there anyway. Overcards didn't really have the odds anymore. Okay, fold this. So yeah, don't slow play at this limit. Just keep betting, because people can hold anything, and basically, if there's a flush draw out there and you're 5-way, someone's probably got it, and your set can just be gone like that. So increase your equity by making other people fold, and just build the pot up. Okay, I'm probably just gonna end the video there. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out the sample hands forum and post some of the hands you've been having difficulty with. Ask questions on other people's hands if you're unsure. Nothing's too stupid to ask. So yeah, just good luck at the tables. Have a good time. Bye bye. This is Terriblade for Poker Strategy. Thanks for watching.